Hello there, race fans, and welcome to America's hometown track of the South Boston Speedway, of course, down in South Boston, Virginia. Tonight, after 11 long weeks of racing, we will be crowning our champion of Season 7 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series. Currently, we have on Monday nights at Attrition Sim Race Campus at 7 p.m. Eastern the Road Series, which is multi-class MX5 and TCRs, though rumor has it we may actually be switching the Road Series to GT3 racing for next season, so if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to check us out. After that, on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Oval Series, which of course you are watching now every Monday night at 9 p.m. Tonight we are going to be crowning our Oval Series champion, but don't let that discourage you from joining, because that just means you'll have the opportunity to join at the start of a fresh season in, I believe, 2 weeks. That sounds about right. And then, of course, finally on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Dirt Series featuring the Pro Late Model. So, if any of that sounds interesting to you, be sure to check out the league at Attrition Sim Race Campus on iRacing.com, or you can find them on Twitter at ASRC Racing, or online at www.asrcracing.com. That said, qualifying is just about in the books. It is currently Labor Day, so a lot of drivers are out on holiday right now, but looking at our timing and scoring sheet, it looks like we do have 6 drivers registered for the session tonight, but only 4 of them have put down qualifying times, so we will have to see if we will have the full 6-driver field here tonight or not. We will be having 101 laps of late model racing here at the South Boston Speedway, though, which of course is pretty fitting because late model racing is what the South Boston Speedway is very much known for. Along with that, they also do a bit of modified racing and legend car racing, but late models is what the South Boston Speedway is known for, and late models is what we will be giving you here tonight, race fans. That said, drivers are now making their way down to the grid, so how about we take a quick look at our starting grid presented by the Majors Garage and Sim Racer Hub. Starting out on the pole here tonight in that number 9 Nadell Racing entry is going to be Anthony Nadell on what I believe is his first pole of the season. Tonight may be the night that he finally breaks his curse of getting back-to-back podium finishes just about every race. Starting his outside in the number 400 Everfrost entry is Garrett Hess. Third place is going to go to Jason Gardner in the number 93 Raybestos Brakes entry. Jason Gardner, of course, being one of the admins here at ASRC. Fourth place gonna go to the 70 of Jason Mong. And in fifth place, the number 87 of Koi Hasalu, who actually, looking at our point sheet, Koi Hasalu is officially the championship of the champion of the ASRC Oval Series. The only other driver that was in points contention with Hasalu in that 87 machine was unable to attend tonight, so Hasalu is 100% for certain our ASRC Series champion, but that is not going to stop these drivers from putting on a good show here tonight. Then finally, rounding out the field here tonight in the number 14 Morelli Motorsports Justin Wilson Memorial entry is Nico Morelli. That's all we got for our starting lineup here tonight. Of course, 101 laps is going to be the distance here tonight, as is usual for the ASRC Oval Series. It always has been 101 lap or 101 mile races, whichever comes first. That said, the pace car is off, and we are going green flag racing here at the South Boston Speedway. Nadell off to a pretty solid start. A bit of trouble for Jason Mong on the start though, back in the back, causing Nico Morelli to have to check up a pretty good bit in that number 14 machine. I think it's possibly that number 70 might have missed a gear on the start, but the number 14 was definitely not oh, and trouble. The 400 machine is around. The caution flag is out. That was a bit unexpected, I'm going to be honest, race fans. I did not see a caution coming here tonight with the reduced car count, but I'll tell you what, even if none of these drivers are vying for the championship here tonight, they're still giving it all to get a race win here tonight. That said, let's go take a quick look back and see if we can't see what happened to the number 400 of Garrett Hess. Garrett Hess on the outside here in that Everfrost entry, and just a little tap from the 93 of Jason Gardner, a bit of door-to-door contact between these two drivers, and that alone was enough to send the 400 spinning on lap 2 here tonight. Let's see if we can't get another view of that wreck. Of course, looking at the purple number 400 Everfrost entry machine, just does a really good job of almost saving the car there, but unfortunately just overcorrected a little bit and was not able to make it happen. Let's see if we can't ride on board with the number 400 machine here tonight. Riding on board with the 400 here of a Garrett Hess, gonna send it down into turn 2, and just a little tap from Jason Gardner enough to send him around, and try as he might to save it, there was not a whole lot he could do to stop that late model car from spinning. That said, little to no damage on that 400 machine, so that is going to send him back to the back of the field, but he is very much still in contention for this race. Garrett Hess not always able to make it out to the ASRC Oval Series. I believe this is his 3rd start of the season. Oh, and the pace car is off. We're actually going to be having a single file restart here tonight. I guess that incident was close enough to the start of the race to be considered a repeat caution. We do have single file starts when there are back-to-back cautions, but I believe that's actually the first single file restart we've seen all season. Currently looking at that number 93 of Jason Gardner, currently the closest battle on the speedway. Coy Hasselu gonna dive it down really low into turn 3 there to try and get around that number 93 machine. It does look like he is going to make it happen in that 87 car. Hasselu actually bringing out a new paint scheme here tonight in the form of that Miller & Son Supermarket and G&M Auto Services entry, looking very nice on that 87 car. Of course, Hasselu mathematically is our champion, even if he were to wreck out of this race right now. No one else in the field has enough points to be able to catch up to him, even if they got the maximum amount of points for winning on top of the maximum amount of bonus points. That said, Anthony Nadell is still our race leader, trying to look and see if he can't pick up his first win of the season in that number 9 car. Anthony Nadell has been in the league for about 6 races, and I want to say that for 4 of them, he had 2nd or 3rd place finishes. So this driver, I think more than anyone out in the field, is very eager to try and pick up a win before the season concludes, because he has had it within his grasp so many times, but he just could not make that final pass happen. And of course, right behind him though is Hasselu in the number 87 car, who does have the most wins of the season by far right now, with 6 wins under his belt. And this is a driver that has not even competed in the season full time. Of course, his rival in the point standings, the only driver that could have theoretically beat Hasselu in the championship standings, was 3-time champion Brian Sabelski, who unfortunately was not able to make it out tonight. But that said, currently looking a little bit further back at the number 70 of Jason Mong and the 14 of Nico Morelli, currently the closest battle on the speedway here, all the way back for the 5th position. Nico Morelli going to slide it through turn 3 a little bit and allow Jason Mong to make the pass happen. That said, Mong slowing up a little bit more than I believe is necessary down on the inside line here, maybe getting a little loose from putting his left side tires down on the apron, going to allow Morelli to battle side by side with him for a couple of laps, but unfortunately for Morelli, Mong is going to be able to complete the pass. These two drivers currently the closest battle on the speedway, with a roughly half a second gap between them, reducing now all the way down to a 0.2 of a second gap between the two of them before going back up to about half a second on the corner exit. So it does look like Mong is getting better corner entry, but Morelli is getting better corner exit. So we will have to see how these two drivers manage to approach this track. Now only 20 laps through the race, so 80 laps left to go for these drivers to have to manage their tires and potentially even take fuel. I don't think that fuel will be necessary for this race. South Boston comes in at only 0.4 miles or 0.64 kilometers in length, so one of the shorter tracks on the schedule, so I don't think fuel will come into play, but I could be wrong. Bit of a slide for Nico Morelli into turn 3 there. Did manage to save the car there, but that was very scary for a brief second there. Getting it down on the apron a little bit through turns 1 and 2, and another big slide for the 14. The 14 goes around but manages to recover. Definitely going to lose all of his time that he had gained on that 70 of Jason Mong though. And currently about an 8-second gap between Morelli and the leader. Morelli drifting it through the corner again just a little bit. These drivers are only setting 15-second lap times, so if you want to get a rough idea of where the leader is in compared to the last car on the lead lap, 15 seconds is the average lap time. So once Morelli gets to minus 15, Nadell is going to be right on his bumper. Speaking of Nadell though, currently still the race leader. That said, Coy Hasselu in that 87 machine right behind him. Hasselu getting a little bit into the wall there, a little bit of damage on that right front tire, and a little bit of a drift through the corner, but he still is going to keep that number 87 machine pointed forward. That said, he's now back to a full second gap between himself and Nadell, so that scrape against the wall definitely did hurt the chase for the lead just a little bit. But Hasselu is the most winningest driver of the season, and generally speaking has been putting on his wins by a rather dramatic margin, so we will have to keep an eye on that 87 driver and see if he doesn't manage to close the gap between himself and Nadell later on in this race. Looking a bit further back, Garrett Hess in that 400 machine did manage to recover 2 positions after that very early caution between himself and Jason Gardner. Currently a second behind the driver that he made contact with, so definitely looking to try and get that position back in the number 400 Everfrost machine. Hess tells me that Everfrost is a symphonic metal band. And I'll tell you what, race fans, it's been 12 weeks of watching these drivers compete, and I still cannot for the life of me tell you what symphonic metal is, but it looks good on the side of that number 400 machine, so why not give them a look-see, and maybe you'll find some music that you like. The gap is still roughly a second between Nadell and our leader, closing just a little bit down the straights, but going back up to a full second on corner entry. Looking at their last lap by, Nadell and Hasselu actually set identical lap times, so these two drivers very similar in pace here tonight. The two of them are friends that joined the league together, and from my understanding they both run official races together, so it's not surprising that these two drivers are setting very similar lap times, because they do compete together and practice together and help each other get ready for the next late model race. They both do say that the late model is the main car that they drive on the iRacing.com platform, so we will have to see if Hasselu is going to have anything to offer for Nadell, or if that 1 second gap is going to keep being the norm between these two drivers. Nico Morelli coming out of turn 2 now at a 13-second gap between himself and Nadell. Lap traffic is going to become a factor here in the next couple of laps. Morelli currently setting lap times roughly 0.2 of a second slower than Nadell is right now, so I would imagine in the next 5 to 10 laps or so, we are going to see the leader coming up on him and lap traffic playing a factor, which could be the lucky break Hasselu needs to catch back up to Nadell and get back into this fight, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that per se, because generally the drivers of ASRC are really respectful, and of course while blue flags are not enforced on the iRacing.com platform and they are not enforced in the ASRC league, drivers do always try to give way to the leaders and not interrupt races that are on laps above where the driver is currently located. That gap now at a 14.2 just about, so Nadell certainly making a whole lot of ground through these corners. Best lap time last time by was a 16:10, so that gives you about a reference of how fast the cars are going about the speedway, and that also does give a pretty good idea of what tire wear is looking like for these late model stock cars, because for reference, last time by everyone's lap times were roughly in the 16:10s range, but everyone's best lap is around 15.6. So in just 45 laps, that is almost a full half of a second of tire fall off. Of course, you see right there the number 9 of Anthony Nadell right behind Nico Morelli in the number 14 machine. Just about a corner of difference between our race leader and the first lap car, and then roughly another corner of distance between our leader and the second place car of Koi Hasselu. The gap actually increasing between Hasselu and Nadell. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Hasselu is seeing the major tire fall off that is happening in terms of lap time and trying to conserve his equipment a little bit. Drivers do get a additional set of tires should they elect to use them, but on a track as small as South Boston, I would imagine that most drivers are not going to take the gamble on tires unless there is a caution. Anthony Nadell, however, making the pass on Nico Morelli, putting Morelli in the 14 machine as the first car a lap down halfway through this event. Morelli, of course, sending it way up high to let the leaders by and not block them at all, and somehow in that entire exchange, the exact opposite of what I suggested might happen happened, and Hasselu actually lost a second of time on Nadell. Here I was thinking that Hasselu was going to be gaining time on the driver of the number 9 while he had to battle with a lapped car, but sure enough, Hasselu's gap has increased by almost a full second between himself and the leader. Looking a little bit further back, Garrett Hess is finally catching back up to that number 93 Rebestis Brakes entry. Of course, earlier in this race, I believe around lap 2, Hess and Gardner made contact coming out of turn 2, and Hess went around even though he did not get any damage on that lane wall stock car. So these two drivers definitely going to be duking it out for the third place position here tonight. Currently a 6.5 second gap between them and the leader, so going to have a lot of ground to make up, and battling it out for the third position is not going to be helping either of them. But with every lap we complete, the gap between Gardner and Hess is shortening, currently down to about 0.3 of a second here, and closing with every lap. Hess going to slide a little bit on corner entry there, probably starting to look and see if he can't find an entry point to try and execute the pass on the number 93 here. Jason Gardner doing a good job of locking down the inside line, making it very difficult for that 400 to get around him. Of course, getting your front or your left tires down on the apron is going to make the car very unstable, so holding down the inside line and trying to either pressure the car behind you to put their tires on the apron and get loose, or simply make them back off to try and avoid getting on the apron in the first place is probably the best strategy to try and prevent a pass here tonight. That said, Jason Gardner is going to scrape the wall a little bit, and Garrett Hess has made it down past... Oh, well, never mind. I was going to say Garrett Hess made it to the inside quarter panel of that number 9 machine, but 93 machine, but it does look like he is going to back off just a little bit from that pass. Further back in the field, speaking of passes, our two lap cars have passed each other. Nico Morelli no longer the last driver that is down a lap, as he has apparently passed Jason Mong and is building a pretty considerable gap on him. 61 laps in the book now, so 40 left to go here tonight. Garrett Hess giving a little bit of a tap to that number 93 machine. Hess and Gardner currently not battling on the standings board at all, but they certainly are going to battle for a race position regardless of where the standings are looking here tonight. But 93 going to go a bit high through turns 3 and 4 there. You maybe get a little bit loose, but for the most part, he is still keeping that late model pointed forward. Garrett Hess doing everything he can to try and make the pass on the 93, but he's having a bit of difficulty with it. It did seem like the 93 might have scraped the wall again there, but he did still set a faster lap time than Hess last time by. These two drivers setting very similar lap times, actually. This time by, they set identical lap times, so very close between the 93 and the 400 here. The 93 going to get a little bit loose going through turn 4, but Garrett Hess not able to close the gap and capitalize on the 93's mistakes. The 400 going to try and send it up high and cross him over, but that's not going to work as he scrapes the outside wall just a little bit. 68 laps, or 67 laps now in the book, so 2/3 of the way through this race. The clock is ticking. If if Hess is going to make the pass, he's going to have to do it sooner rather than later, but it does look like Hess might have been using up the rubber on those tires, because it does look like every time he makes the move and tries to go for the pass, his car just starts sliding out from under him and he has to back out of it. Currently, it's only 0.2 of a second between these two drivers, though. Still setting very similar lap times to each other. Actually, last time by, Hess set a faster lap time than Gardner. So Hess certainly does have the speed in that late model entry. He's just not managing to make the pass happen. Jason Gardner doing a very good job of holding that preferred line and not giving Hess room to get his nose under there and make the pass happen. 70 laps in the books now, 30 to go. Coming to the conclusion of not only this race, but the entirety of Season 7 here tonight in these late model stock cars. We will still be using the late model next season, because this is the first season of ASRC using the late models, and we decided on a bit of a rule. As 400 gets very loose through the corner, they're going to lose a bit of a gap on Garrett Hess, and it looks like Morelli might have had trouble there. Morelli losing a huge chunk of time on Mong there. And actually, the 400 is coming into pit lane. That is very interesting. Maybe these drivers need fuel after all, or maybe Hess is just not happy with how his tires are doing. Alrighty then, well, Garrett Hess down on pit lane is going to allow Jason Gardner to have plenty of breathing room now to try and catch up to Hasselu. Mong and Morelli still a lap down, but both drivers no longer in last place as Garrett Hess is down on the pit lane still. It does look like Garrett Hess is going to be taking all 4 tires here tonight. A very interesting play by the driver of the number 400. Normally, it's Johnny Bell that is making the unorthodox pit strategies, but Garrett Hess going to go on a bit of a gamble here tonight and see if he can't make something happen with 4 brand new sticker tires. Currently riding on board with Koi Hasselu, our Season 7 champion in that number 87 machine. Still losing a little bit of time on the Dell, 23 laps to go. I'm not entirely sure if he'll even be able to make that deficit up. He might just be accepting the fact that he is the championship winner guaranteed and just going on a bit of a Sunday drive down to the end here. But that said, the 93 of Jason Gardner also losing a bit of time on Hasselu. You can definitely see how the tires have fallen off. Oh, trouble! The 14 of Nico Morelli is around. He is going to get the car going again, but that is our second flag of the evening. I'll tell you what, race fans, I've said this time and time again. The race is not over until it's over. And even when you think the leader has signed the check already, something happens that you just cannot expect. Nadell and Hasselu down on pit lane, as well as Jason Gardner, are 3 drivers that were still on the lead lap, all going to be pitting in this time by. I wouldn't be surprised if Mong, Morelli, and Hess... Well, Hess has already pitted, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mong and Morelli also pit. That said, Mong is the lucky dog, so Mong might actually elect to stay out as he's being put back on the lead lap. Let's see if we can't take a look back and see what happened to the driver of the number 14 machine here. That Justin Wilson Memorial entry. Going to dive it down through the corner a little bit, and it looks like he might have just gotten on the throttle too hard and the rear end slid out on him. That is probably the most common incident we've seen this season, is drivers just pushing it a little bit too hard out of turn 4, and the rear of the car just loses its grip and slides out on them. Definitely a big impact for that number 14 machine. Let's see if we can't ride on board with him here. Right on board with the 14 of Nico Morelli. You can hear him drifting the tires a little bit. He gets back on the gas and the rear tires just can't handle it and slide out on him. So that is what's happening to the 14 of Nico Morelli, who is still a lap down despite everything, but Jason Mong back on the lead lap. He is going to be the lucky dog. And Jason Gardner going to actually get a position on Koi Hasselu through that pit stop. So it's going to be Nadell, Gardner, Hasselu, and Mong are 4 drivers on the lead lap, followed by Morelli and Hess, both laps down, so neither of them will be battling for position. That said, the pace car is off, and we're going to have a little bit of an awkward start as Morelli did not actually get waved around the pace car, so there will be a lapped car, making this battle for position very interesting. The number 93 stuck on the outside, going to scrape the wall just a little bit 3 wide as they go around the lapped car, going to cause Gardner to check up just a little bit, not wanting to be involved in contact there. So looking at like the same top 3 we had before the caution now, but with a much smaller gap between these drivers. Jason Gardner sliding out a bit high through the corner there, trying to push as hard as he can in that number 93 machine. 13 laps to go as we round the corner here. Nadell still pretty solidly in the lead, followed by Hasselu and Gardner. Anthony Nadell just matched his best time of the race on that last lap, so these new tires definitely proving very significant to these drivers. Jason Gardner right up to the back bumper of the number 87 machine. 12 laps to go here, so a very limited amount of time to try and make the pass happen for these 2 drivers. Currently duking it out for the 2nd position here tonight. Jason Gardner currently is 4th place in the standings, so actually, while Gardner and Nadell are not battling for the championship, they actually are battling with each other for a top 3 finish here tonight. Currently, Nadell and Gardner are actually tied for points on the championship standings with 158 points each for both drivers, currently in the 3rd and 4th position. So they are battling both for the podium positions in this race and for the podium positions on the season standings here tonight. Further back, Jason Mong currently in the 7th position on the standings, Hess in 11th, and Morelli in 9th. So currently all the drivers, aside from Gardner and Nadell, are too spread out to be battling for position, but Nadell and Gardner are currently tied for points standings. With how this race is currently shaping out, though, it does look like Nadell is probably going to be the driver getting the 3rd place finish. Neither of them have enough points to catch up to Brian Zabelski, even though Zabelski was unable to attend tonight. So, battles for positions, both in the race and in the standings here tonight, but the big high 5 is up in the air. 5 laps to go for Hasselu to try and make the pass and claim his 7th win tonight. Now 4 to go. About half a second gap between Nadell and Gardner. Nadell is gaining out of the corner, and it does look like Nadell actually scraped the wall, so Hasselu is going to make up a pretty decent amount of time there, but will it be enough? 3 laps to go. Hasselu is almost to his bumper. Nadell looking to finally break the curse of getting a podium finish in almost every race he's done in the ASRC Oval Series and finally take a trophy home for himself. 2 laps to go, but the gap is shrinking with every lap. Hasselu going to send it real deep into the corner there, but it's not going to be enough. The white flag is out in the air now. Hasselu losing time on Nadell, but gaining it just a bit there. Nadell driving it way down low. Side by side through turn 3. Side by side down the straightaway. Contact, and Hasselu is going to get it at the last possible second with a 400ths of a second difference between the two drivers. Normally this is the part where we'd be going to the interview, but let's get a replay of that final lap between Nadell and Hasselu. Nadell in the number 87 machine, following closely behind Hasselu. Nadell getting a bit low on the corner there. Two drivers side by side going through the corner, and right at the end, Hasselu's just going to get that tiny little bit more speed out of turn 4. Coy Hasselu doing his Polish victory lap after getting one of the more unexpected wins of the season, but you said it here first, chat. What a finish. 0.04 seconds of a difference between Hasselu and Nadell. Nadell led every lap of this race, but sometimes the final corner is all it takes to make the difference. Coy Hasselu is your 7-time winner this season and is now our Season 7 champion of the ASRC Oval Series. That said, we are going to see if we can't dial up our race winners here tonight. Currently calling them all up, but we will see if they pick up the call. I'd imagine a lot of adrenaline going through these drivers' minds right about now. That was certainly a heck of a finish, and not one that I think a lot of people were expecting. We will give them just a second to pick up, and if they don't, then we might just have to do things backwards again, because our third place finisher is the first person to show up to the chat. I'm impatient, so guess what, Jason? You're going first, buddy. You're on the podium yet again, and you put on a heck of a run in that number 93 machine. How are you feeling at the end of another incredibly exciting season?
Feeling tired. I tried to keep up with the with those two, but the 87 and the 9, they are completely on a different level when it comes to pace. I tried to give it my best.
You certainly put on a pretty good show here tonight. It probably is a little disappointing to not manage to get the win, but you've still put on a very strong season. I believe you're going to be finishing 4th overall in the championship, if my math is correct, and out of the 28 drivers that attended a race this season, I'd say 4th place is pretty dang good.
Yeah, I'm not going to be disappointed with a 4th, especially with me having a few bad races and skipping a couple. Yeah, I think that's actually my personal best.
Yeah, I'd say you did a really good job, and especially things being shaken up by everyone driving the late model for the first time here in the ASRC Oval Series. I'd say everyone put on a heck of a show. Is there... Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I knew when these won the vote before the beginning of the season. I knew these cars were going to put on a fun race because you're able to beat and bang with them, and they won't instantly lose control or fly up in the air like the street stocks or the modifieds do.
Yeah,
With these cars, you can actually bang doors with them a little bit, and they'll actually stay put.
Yeah, I was certainly on the edge of my seat the entire season, so I'd say that the league voting for the late model was a pretty good decision overall, and I'm assuming we're going to be using this car again for next season. If
Yeah, yes. Well, this is the first season with them. Every 2 seasons, anybody who participated in the previous season will actually have a chance to vote on whether we change to a different car or keep the current car. So we do that. We do that every 2 seasons.
Good deal. Well, Jason, you managed to pull off a first place finish overall. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for getting that number 93 to the end of the season?
Yes, I like to thank Johnny for hosting the Attrition Sim Race Camping League. I also like to thank you for broadcasting all these races, and I also like to thank everybody, all the drivers who actually participated in today's season, and actually the people who were watching. Now, if it wasn't for them, none of this would be possible.
Yeah, this has definitely been a new experience for me, but it's one that I've thoroughly enjoyed doing for the past 12 weeks. So, thank you for giving me the opportunity and to all the drivers for putting on such an awesome show.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty. Anthony, tell me about that. That's a heartbreaker and a half, ain't it?
Yeah, it was. It's unfortunate that caution came out with I don't know. It was I think it was probably about 30 to go maybe there at the end, and it really brought everybody back up to me. I knew that Coy was going to be faster on the short run, and it seemed like over the course of the run I was able to kind of maintain the tires a little bit better. But I knew it was going to be tough holding him off there at the end, and it looks like I just gave him a little bit too much room on the exit of 4, and I should have crowded him a little bit more and taken his line away. So it is definitely disappointing to lead every lap but the last one, but second place isn't bad, and I was able to bring the car home in one piece after a pretty tough week last week. I've had some technical difficulties with my wheel. It caused me to spin out a couple times in the race at North Wilkes-Barre. So it was nice to get a good clean race in without any issues, and unfortunate just to come up a little bit short.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it is kind of poetic to end off our season on what I believe is probably by far the closest finish we've had all season. It is pretty unfortunate that you weren't able to break your curse of podium finishes, but are you feeling confident that you might be able to get it done next season?
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know I'm gonna have speed and whatever car I'm driving. It just depends on I guess who else is in the race. I know Coy and Dave are going to be tough to beat if they're in the field. So it's always going to be a challenge with some good competition around, and Brian as well. He's been pretty quick. I know he wasn't here tonight, but he's been pretty fast all season as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and should my math be correct, which last I checked it is, but it's my job to talk and not do math, you are going to be finishing third overall in the standings. So, for a driver that's only been here part time, that is an incredibly impressive run. And I'm certainly excited to see what you manage to pull off next season now that you'll actually have the full 12 weeks to compete. Uh, we might have lost Anthony there, chat. We'll give him just a second.
You got me?
Yes, sir. Now we got you. Yeah.
All right, sorry.
All good. Looking at the standings, it does look like you are going to be finishing in third overall, which is a very impressive run considering that you joined halfway through the season. you did put on a heck of a show, even if you didn't manage to pull off the win here tonight.
All right. Yep. Thanks. I appreciate that. I definitely wasn't, racing for points. I wanted to come out and try to get a win, and just wound up a little bit short tonight.
Yeah. Well, is there anyone you would like to thank for putting on such an impressive run this season in that number 9 car?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to thank the people that put the league on for that, and you for the broadcast, and as well, I guess tonight, Coy, for helping with the paint. I think he felt bad for me because I didn't know how to use trading paint, so he showed me the tricks and made a paint for me. So I appreciate that.
Well, that certainly is a very nice looking late model. I'll give you all that. But thanks for coming out, and I am excited to see you compete next season.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. And finally, race winner against all odds and our new championship holder. That's how you speak. Yeah. Koi, you joined halfway through the season, and not only did you get the most wins of any driver, but you're also now an ASRC series champion. How are you feeling after that?
I feel pretty good. Like I've said before, I love the late model cars. It's the car I race all the time, and there's not any other league besides one or two maybe that run longer late model races like this, which is a blast. There's tire strategy to some of it, fuel strategy, and it's something different than your normal official late models.
Yeah, this has been an absolute blast of a season to be seeing from a viewer perspective. I'm almost a little jealous I wasn't able to make it out on track, but this was a great experience being up here in the booth and watching you all put on some incredibly exciting racing, in my opinion.
Yeah, if anyone, you and anyone else ever wanna, try a late model or anything, it's a really fun car to drive. It's not the hardest car in the world. For open setups, there's not much you can change, and you can learn pretty quickly with asking a few questions here and there and common sense racing knowledge. But yeah, it's been a blast. All these races, we've had a lot of close ones, and Anthony had this one won tonight, but unfortunately for him, a caution came out and, like you said, bunched everyone back up and made it a little interesting there at the end.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. I think I said it earlier, but I'm pretty sure that was the closest finish we've had all season. It was, I believe, 400ths of a second between the two of you. So a very impressive run on both of y'all's parts, and really an impressive run for both of y'all all season. And I definitely am excited to see y'all be able to compete full time next season and not be joining halfway through the season.
Yeah, we've me and Anthony have raced, I think, almost every single race since we've joined, and we've obviously had very good finishes, both of us together. And I enjoy racing with Anthony a lot. I race with him outside of the league a lot too, so it's good.
Yeah, it's been great having you both, and it's been great having everyone that's managed to make it out to the ASRC Oval Series this season. It does look like we had a grand total of 28 drivers making at least one start this season, so I'd say that's pretty good numbers, and I'm certainly excited to see what next season brings. But that said, you are our season champion and also 7-time race winner, so the floor is yours. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for pulling this kind of monumental task off here tonight?
Well, first, Brian, he wasn't able to make it tonight, and real life always, obviously, becomes first at hand over sim racing and stuff like that. So that's unfortunate. I hope everything's good there. You for broadcasting, obviously. Like I said before, it adds a lot to the league, and the league for itself putting on all these races for us, and Anthony for racing with me every week.
Yeah, well, it's been a blast doing things here on my end, and I believe in 2 weeks we will be starting season 8. So here's to another incredibly exciting season in these late model stock cars.
Yeah, I'm excited. My Monday nights are open for the fall here, so hopefully I'll be able to run them and all. And It'll be good.
Good deal. I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. You heard it here first, race fans. Koi Hasulu, our race winner here tonight by 0.04 of a second, the closest finish that we have had all season long. And an incredibly exciting championship here tonight. Very unfortunate that Ryan Sabelski was not able to make it out and compete with Koi for the championship. But still a very fun race, and I am excited to see what next season has to offer. But that said, let's take a quick look at our official race results. Koi Haselu in the number 87 machine, picking up his 7th win of the season and officially crowning himself as champion here tonight of Season 7 of the ASRC Oval Series, making him, I believe, the 4th unique Oval Series champion overall. I should have that written down somewhere. I'm actually going to look this up real quick. No, this will be the 5th unique champion, actually, of the Oval Series, with Brian Sabelski having three under his belt, Connor Wagner having 1, Benjamin Harst having 1, and Charles Cruz having 1. So Koi Haslu will be adding his name to the record book here tonight as another ASRC Oval Series champion. Second place going to go to Anthony Nadell in a bit of a heartbreak of a finish. Only 1 lap to decide this race win. Nadell, of course, having led every lap of the race and having a photo finish on the final lap. Third place going to be going to league admin Jason Gardner in that number 93. One of the main men that puts on the Oval Series every week for us to enjoy. Fourth place going to go to Jason Mong in the number 70 machine. Fifth place to Garrett Hess in the 400. And finally, rounding out the field here tonight is going to be the number 14 of Nico Morelli. That's all I got for y'all here from the ASRC Oval Series here tonight, though. This has been an amazing experience broadcasting for these past 3 months. It's been a really good experience for me and definitely something that I don't regret doing and am excited to keep doing for Season 8 of the Oval Series. That said, we will have a week off before the next season starts, so unless there is an off-season silly race that I might attend next week, we will be having a little bit of a break before we resume our broadcast every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern with Season 8 of the ASRC Oval Series. Of course, if you've enjoyed coming out and watching this series every week for the past 3 months, you can always join Attrition Sim Race Campus by looking them up on iRacing and joining the Discord from their iRacing League link, or going to @ASRC Racing on twitter.com, or going to www.asrcracing.com. Thank you all for sticking with me for this past 3 months and 12 weeks of late model racing. It's been a blast, and I look forward to seeing you all in Season 8. Have a good evening, race fans.